And we're at 50 degrees in downtown Linden. Mike Barrett in for another weekly installment of Good Policies. Good morning to you, friend.
Good morning to you, friend. How are you?
It's gorgeous out. Have you heard the forecast?
Yeah, long overdue. My God. You know, it's funny. I've been talking to people. I'm now strategizing on the opportune times to mow my lawn. Is that where I'm at in my life? That's where I'm at in my life. I can't mow today. What am I going to do? Can't mow tomorrow. It's going to be too long, and it's going to clump. You know, that's my life now, Jeff. It's exciting.
You don't want to see my backyard. Hey, so all over Facebook, proud parents and other family members are posting up about graduation. Yeah, I graduated from LI. You graduated from the academy, right?
Go Big Green. Everybody yell it, go.
Okay, so I'm also reading an article in the Caledonian Record. They had 230 graduates this year at St. J. Academy.
That's huge.
And there was, single and barely double digits back when it started over 200 years ago.
Yeah, back when I was there.
Yeah. Leave it at that.
I was the biggest class 32 years ago, and I think we were like in the 150 range.
Were you?
So.
Okay. Well, this leads into what I think we might be able to talk about this morning. You and I just had a few seconds to talk about it. It is graduation season, and of course, this means in a few months kids are going off to college, or maybe right now they're going into the workforce. And I can't remember in any of our other conversations about kids on your insurance if we should leave them on or take them off. You tell us what direction to go in.
I love that you brought that up. And let's say that when we're trying to, and this is always unscripted, but we always want to have at least a thought in our heads before we crack these mics open, right? And we hadn't had a thought, and you're like, well, kids are graduating, just taking them off the policy. And I'm like, whoa, that's a great conversation. Let's talk about that. So kids graduating high school. We're not talking about graduating college yet, okay? We're talking about high school. Should you take them off your insurance policy? No, you shouldn't. They're still dependents of the household. You're still claiming them as dependents on your taxes, which really has no correlation here, but I use that as an example saying, look, you're not rushing to not claim them anymore. Don't rush them to take them off your policies. Let's say, let me give you a couple of examples here, all right? Your child is going off to college without a vehicle. Well, if they go beyond Groovy UV and UNH, they're going to be over 100 miles away from home in most cases, many cases. And if that's the case, that's an opportunity for you to report to your insurance carrier, look, my child is going to this school that is well over 100 miles away from us. You're going to get an incredible discount on your auto policy because they're gone. And that discount doesn't go off when they come home in the summer. It stays on while they're in school. All right. Because the thought being, we're not going to rate them for being home all the time because they're not, and they don't have a vehicle with them. And that's a stressed point. They do not have a vehicle with them. Now, why is it so key to keep them on? Excess liability. Your liability coverage on your auto policy will act as excess coverage if they are involved in an accident with another vehicle with them operating. And if they have driving a car that has not enough insurance or no insurance, it's very possible that your coverage will kick in and protect you. Moreover than anything else, though, Jeff, the medical payments on the policy, on an auto policy, can cover you for pedestrian. You're a pedestrian, you get hit by a car, you can have medical payments. Keep this, and injured in any vehicle, they could have medical payments. It's very important to keep that coverage on to protect your child while they're away.
Okay, so that leads to a question. All right, you stressed and you made sure we understood that if they head off to college without a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So what if Johnny or Janice off to school rents a car? I haven't rented a car in a long time. I don't know if it is absolutely mandatory that you have to get the insurance, but I do remember the one time I did rent one, I had the option. So does that mean?
It's always an option.
Okay, so if they don't?
If they don't get the insurance, it's highly likely the policy of their parents would be excess. I wouldn't rely on that. Now, the cool thing about rental cars is you're supposed to be 25 or older. So that kind of renders that conversation not so big. Although there are situations where younger children can and have rented a vehicle. So, but always get the collision deductible waiver. That's a conversation for a complete other day. But let's turn the page to your child is going to school with their car. Well, depending on the carrier, and I'd say most carriers would probably be this way, if they're going off to school somewhere in Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, you're fine. Most carriers really don't care. Just let them know where you're at. That's what they want to know. You start going out of state to like Massachusetts, New York, Texas, Florida, Georgia, California, you're getting further away in these other states. Remember, every state has their own insurance laws, own requirements. And plus, some of the regional carriers don't have great claims representation in California. So it's not opportune. It's not a great thing to do. Many companies do not like it. They can't do anything about it until renewal. When they find out about it, they can go, we're going to non-renew. But if that is going to be the case, a great opportunity to check in with some of the carriers out there, which we have a couple that don't care where the car is. Companies like National General, the Hartford, sometimes Progressive goes in that round too. As long as primary vehicles are garaged in Vermont or in Vermont 180 days or more, you're okay with having a vehicle out of state with Progressive.
All right, so you mentioned states close to us, okay? Maine and New Hampshire. New Hampshire obviously being the closest. Now, is it my understanding, and maybe our listeners' understanding too, that Vermont and New Hampshire with other laws are reciprocating states?
So, yeah, and when it comes to insurance, because and it wouldn't factor that way necessarily, but because every state has their own insurance, every insurance policy will respond in the legal capacity required in the state the incident occurred in. All right. So if I'm in Florida and I'm in an accident, my Vermont policy will act in the appropriate fashion as a Florida requirement would be. Now, here's the kicker is if I'm in Florida full time, haven't transferred my vehicle, got a Vermont policy, I'm going to get non-renewed, no doubt about it. Remember, what you have for plates is where you have your insurance. Green plates, Vermont insurance. New Hampshire plates, New Hampshire insurance, and so on and so forth. That's very important to stress. Now, let's turn the page really quickly to the other type of insurance, homeowner insurance. Mom and Dad, you have a homeowner policy. You have contents coverage as a result of having the policy. It's on there anyway. Your youngster will have some contents coverage away at school. Are they living in a dorm? They'll have coverage. If they're renting off campus, they really should get their own renter's insurance policy. That'll be kind of the dividing line of sorts. They're out on their own at that point, okay? But if they're in a dormitory and living away at college, you have technically some coverage up to 10% to protect them while they're away at school. Plus, your liability stays with them. So if they are causing bodily injury or property damage due to their negligence to somebody else other than an auto accident, highly likely you have liability coverage to protect your youngster.
I can safely say we've never covered those details.
I feel like that was new.
In a good policy before.
I feel like that was new.
And it probably opened a can of worms for folks with questions out there. So tell them how to get in touch with you.
Sure. Give us a call, 748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency. And real quick plug, we're now in the month of June. At the end of this month, I believe it's June 26th. Is that Thursday? That'll be the Northeast Kingdom Cancer Action Network first annual golf scramble. We're calling it Golf for F-O-R-E, a cause. Learn more about it on the NEKCan.org website.
I got the flyer over here, and I shared it to our Facebook page when it first came out. But if it is on a Thursday, it is the 26th.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And if I'm there, definitely 4 is going to be the key word, and stay out of the woods because that's where I hit. So.
Always enjoy it. Good policies with Magic in the morning, and we're just a few minutes away from our Hometown Minute with Beans Homes. Up next, it's Dua Lipa with Magic in the Morning.